Hello everyone, welcome to today's class. My name is Megan. If you're new here, I'm so glad that you are with us and you're taking a little bit of time to allow yourself to relax and renew. Whether you're a part of our Patreon artist community or not, or you follow us on YouTube, I just want to thank you for being here and supporting us. So today is all about you trying something new, and today we're doing watercolors, and I'll go over a quick brief overview of what supplies you'll need to participate today. But for any of our classes, you're always welcome to use whatever you have at home. So even if we're doing a watercolor class and you have acrylics, use acrylic paints. That's totally fine. Just have fun with it. I will be here to guide and support you along the way. So a list of supplies that you'll need for today's class is you will need watercolors, you will need watercolor paper, you will need just an array of brushes, small to medium sizes for today. The drips that you can see here on the example we'll be using like a 3 round tip brush, but any smaller size brushes would be able to be fine. You'll need a small well or a palette tray to mix your watercolor paints, as well as 1 to 2 cups of water. So you could have one water vessel or you could have 2 separate cups of water. It's absolutely up to you if you want to keep one water cup clean or if you want to use 1 cup of water for both things. And we can go ahead and get started. So in addition, if you happen to have a pencil, that's helpful for some sketching. We'll be doing a little bit of drawing that you can see here with our girl under the umbrella. And also, if you have any tape, painter's tape, masking tape, scotch tape, we're going to be taping out a white area first for our next steps. So go ahead and grab those items and you can see a little sneak peek of where we're going. We had so much fun with today's class. I can't wait for you to follow us with the next steps. So let's go ahead and jump in when you're ready. Those supplies. Go ahead and based on what tape you have, I'm going to do a little bit of an angle for her umbrella. And I want you to think about how tall you want her to be. So I like to use my fingers sometimes in these classes. Let me make this a little taller. Oops. Let me make it a little taller and we can talk through these details. So let me turn that
Megan,
for you.
you don't mind if we improvise? I'd like to make a little frog with an umbrella.
I love it. Improvise. Make a frog. There are so many different designs. If you do like a silhouette, you can do anything you want down here. I love the frog idea. So cute. I want you to consider doing a little bit of an angle for the umbrella. And I'm just going to go up. You figure out how high you want to go. I'm going to go about here. And I'm just going to tape that down gently. And we're going to hold this white space. So I'm going to grab some more tape and I'm going to cover this whole area, pretending like the blue is an umbrella. I'm going to come straight down from the edge. And I'm going to tape all the way down. So this whole little area will stay white when we do our fun dripping. You want to use scissors to make this area really precise. You're welcome to do that. You can play with the detail. I might make this come down straight so it's not angled here on the sides. But I'll draw my umbrella and my girl underneath. We could draw her first, or if you're doing a frog with an umbrella, either or. But I don't want to put tape on like a drawing. That doesn't seem right to me. So I'm just going to hold space here for my person. And I'm going to put tape down and cover this whole little square. Now I've heard green painter's tape also works well. I haven't tried it yet. So maybe one of these days I'll buy the green painter's tape. But we're going to just do some really fun dripping. And I'm going to have like really clean edges, trying anyways. Let's see. Here and up here on the top. I'm just going to try to have some nice clean edging. That should be good enough. All right, so I want to cover all of this. I have a little bit of a square down here, and then we'll draw our person in with the umbrella. If you want to do 2 people under an umbrella, like kissing, or if you want to do like a child, like anything you want down here is fine. We're just going to do it after, but we're just covering up the space so we can have fun with our drips. So I'm pushing a little hard around the edges because I don't want drips to kind of come in. There we go.
And we don't want to write there, please. Thank you.
So I'll bring this back. One of the things we're going to do is I want you to use whatever colors you want. So I'll hold this a little closer. This is going to be really fun. So I want to maybe start with some lighter colors first, maybe yellows and oranges. I'm going to do kind of all colors of the rainbow because why not? And we're going to do some practice strips together. Now there's no true method to the madness, so we're just going to have fun with it. I'm going to take a little bit of water and put it right on my palette. And I'm just going to find a color that I want to start with. And I'm going to pre-mix that color over here. Bring a couple dollops of water in. Let me turn this light on. There we go. And so I'm just kind of creating, I want enough of this. So ladies, I'm grabbing like 3, 4, 6 dollops of water here. I want this to be pretty watery. I need to be able to drip all the way down. And the more paint pigment you add, the bolder the color will be as you drip. So I'm just going to make quite a bit of this because I want to do probably like 5 or 6 drips of this yellow just to see how it goes. So I'm adding a little water. I'm playing with how much paint pigment is showing. This is kind of an orangey yellow. I'm just kind of having fun with what color I'm using. Ooh. All right, a little bit of water. All right. And then we are going to hold our canvases on a little bit of an angle. And you're going to start at the top and you're going to push down. And you're going to apply water so it drips. And if you need to tip it vertically, here comes Dory. Hold on, Dory's coming in again. Sorry. She might be getting her computer working here. If you need to use a bigger brush, use a bigger brush. Again, we're all experimenting here together, but I am just going to tip my canvas vertically. I'm actually ooh, look at that. It's going. I might change the orientation of my camera so you can see it better. And I can do some vertical. And if you need to put more liquid on to do that vertical drip, that will go right down. Okay. So you could do lots of them if you wanted to. So this is just really, and you need a pretty good amount of liquid and you want there to be enough liquid so the drop will go down. So just add a little bit more water to it. And watch those drips just happen. If you want to like kind of help it along, you can, but just add more water from the top. And that will give it more of a natural effect. So just start with one color. You're going to use quite a bit of water here, which if you're gonna, I keep adding water at the top of the drip to make it go. It's kind of like you got to get it going a little bit. There we go. So if it's not dripping all the way down, I'm just adding a little bit more water to the top so it has that single jet stream coming down. I'll turn a light on here to have a little bit better lighting. But I'm going to add quite a few of these. I'll probably add 7 or 8 of the yellow because it's light enough and it's in the background. I think with the darker colors, I'll be a little more selective of how many I add. But you can't really do anything too wrong here. We're just kind of having fun with it. So I'm going to grab a little bit more water and add more water to my palette right here. And I'm going to put some on the left, some on the right, some in the middle. There we go. That one wants to go. Here you go. Just give it a little bit more water on the top if it's close. There we go. And let that drop, that raindrop, carry all the way down. And this is just a lot of rinse and repeat. So you're going to use quite a bit of water. If you need to mix more pigment, you can. So you got to be a little patient with the process. Again, this is a new technique. It's going to drip right down, right over on top of this blue. And you're just going to keep going. It's a lot of raindrops. there's certain, I want you to think about what color palette you want to do today. If you want to do the rainbow like me, we can do the rainbow. If you want to just do pinks and oranges and purples, that could be kind of cool. Anything really goes. I'm just doing a little bit of yellow here and there because it's a nice light color for the background. Adding more water in. I'll do one more and then I'll kind of switch to oranges. There's no rush. You can play with, again, how much paint pigment is here or there.
So the thought is you put the drip at the top and it's
Drip
supposed
at
to
the top and let it drip down. Exactly.
not using
Yeah.
enough. It's
And I
not.
keep feeding it water at the top
Yeah.
door. So I give it more and more water at the top. So that single little drip line goes all the way down.
To be using enough water. Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna need, yep, you need more water. Yep. So I'm constantly adding more water. Exactly. So I'm gonna be playful. I'm gonna grab a little bit of an orangey color. I'm putting quite a bit of paint pigment on my well, because you go through quite a bit of water here. So there's my oranges. I'm gonna do the color of the rainbow. I'm starting with some of just the lighter colors first. So I just have the most control over the lighter colors, and then I can be more specific and designated with some of the darker colors like the reds and the blues and stuff. So you want to keep feeding water to the top until that drip goes down. Like this is an orange one I just dripped right down. And you could be sporadic on your placement, but I'm just feeding that little drip at the top. And there she goes. Now that one combined it with yellow, which was kind of interesting. So you could be patient and you could let some of these dry. They may mix with one another if they're nearby. So you could kind of go next to a yellow, give it a little bit of room if possible, but I'm feeding 2 or 3 drops of water to the top of the drip and it will carry right down. Like it's raining outside and it's coming right down the window. Now we'll do a little bit of splatter too, like the rain is splattering. Depends on how messy y'all want to get today. I think splatter's a fun thing to add to this. We'll look at the inspiration and we can evaluate what we see. Or if you have an idea, you could certainly incorporate it on your own. So I had an orange one that was really next close to a yellow and it went into the yellow lane. So make sure if you're doing any secondary colors, make sure they're far enough away from your neighbor before, if it's not dry yet. And you can decide if you want your drips going all the way down off the page. It's totally up to you. If you want to just do little half drips, that's fine. Absolutely up to you. But let me get our printed inspiration. I'll put it up right here next to us so we can see it. Let's see here. Because there's definitely some drips that are halfway. But I'm going to go pretty much all the way down on most of them. So there's our inspiration right there. And you're just we're going to go a little drip crazy here. So there's really no other method to your madness. Maybe if you can let some of these dry watercolors, this should dry fairly quickly, a couple minutes in between. But you can be thoughtful of where you might want to add colors that are already dry. So as an example, these ones over here, some of these are drying pretty well. So I could do some reds or some darker orange colors. It's absolutely up to you. We have Miss Jamie joining us. But for me, once I want to move on to a different color, I'm going to try different orange. I'm going to have some fun and make another orange color. And I'm finding the color first, mixing it in my well. And Jamie, welcome to the party. We are going to have you tape a spot for your girl with the umbrella first, so it stays nice and white. And then we're just doing vertical color drops from the top of the canvas down. And you can start with some lighter colors like oranges and yellows. But I'm gonna mix a reddish orange, like a blood orange color next. I'm just having fun. You can use whatever colors you like. You're gonna use quite a bit of water as you go. So I'm just gonna keep going. It's kind of like when we do branches on a tree, we just got to keep going with the branches. Kind of same thing here. I'm gonna keep adding water to the top of the drip. So the drip will go down vertically. The goal is for the drip to be at the top and to float down and go off the bottom of the page. Now I'm in a studio and I have a tile floor. If you are at home, you might want to get a towel or something, or a paper towel, and maybe put it underneath you so some of these drips have somewhere safe to go. It will get a little wet underneath. I think a paper towel on the underside is probably not a bad idea. Paper towels are always helpful. I didn't say to grab a paper towel in today's class. Grab a paper towel, ladies and gents. But I'm kind of alternating to the left and to the right. I'm playing with a darker orange now just to be playful. But I'm doing all the colors of the rainbow. And my drips are happening. And I have these like little lingering drips. I'm just leaving them just to see what happens. Lingering drips are okay. But choose any colors that you wish. That's a good orange drip down on the left side. Nice. And I don't know how long this is going to take. I've never, ever, ever done this technique before, which is really fun. So I'm going to shift from one color to another and know that I can go back and do more orange if I want to. So I want you to do as much or as little as you want with regards to like the number of drips per color. It's all very experimental. There's not one right or wrong way of doing things. So I'm going to just do a few, of the color of the rainbow here and just see how it goes. So I'm doing green next. So just take your time. Everybody in these classes, just go at your own pace. You can be very deliberate on your placement. You could be very sporadic. I don't really have a plan. I'm just being playful with you all, like usual. But that's what's fun, to just go for it and try new things. But there's a whole lot of drips. I know that. I know that I don't really want to see a whole lot of white space. I want to see some, but not a lot. So I'm really layering, 5, 6, 7 drips for each color on this. And the green looks great. It's fairly light. So one of the things, if your colors are fairly light, you can use more pigment as you're mixing. So as an example, if I grab a little bit more of this green pigment, see how much more it's darker. I'll do a couple of darker drops and you'll see the difference pretty quickly. So more pigment, make that color. See that green pigment? It just jumped right out because I added more to it. So if you have really light lines like I do, add more pigment. There's another green one that's just got a little darker. So play with adding more pigment, and you can go right on top of an orange that you already did and add more pigment. That's fine. It may even remember that track that you did. There's a little green. Kind of fun to see what happens in that regard. So I added more pigment to my color mixture so it was darker when I apply it. There we go. So you can see the green is standing out more now, which is great. I love this color. I think it's really pretty. But I love the use of red. I love the use of purples and pinks. So I'm just doing a little bit of green here. There is a little bit of you want to have any, but maybe we'll do some splatter at the end. That could be kind of fun. But I'm gonna add maybe like a darker orangey color or a darker reddish color to add some more boldness. So for me, I need to use a little bit more paint pigment on my plate. So I kind of use my paintbrush on the paint and I bring it on here and I mix it with my watercolor like this. And then I get some of that water and the watercolor paint on my brush. And I kind of try to find a dry area where nothing's gonna take over one or another. Oh, so that one went down another track. Whoopsie, that's all right. And then I'll do one here. And it should go straight down. There you go. That's like a dark reddish orange color right there. I'm gonna do another one of those. So I'm gonna just do it in kind of an open space where there's a white gap is where I'm adding kind of new colors. There's another one. And you want to look for dry areas to add new colors so they don't go in of a track of another color. So I am just being footloose and fancy free here. I have my canvas. I was doing it flat before, but I needed it to be tilted vertically so the colors would do what they got to do and run down. So you could get a couple books and lean up, get some books. Maybe you have an easel at home. Anything to position this vertically will help you. This is great so far. I'm going to get a little crazy. I'm going to take a little bit of the red and I'm going to do like a flick. Oh boy. Having a little splatter now. A little bit of red just to see how it goes. And I'm going to clean my brush. Maybe I'll just do a couple of green flicks. Let's see. Again, I'm getting a little crazy. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I love experimenting. Some of this is going to dry. Like I have a couple of random drops. So you could always give your canvas a little tap, a vertical tap if you need to get any of those drops down. Bang it down a little bit to move things. And I'll bring mine a little closer so you can see it. You can see how some lines are really light and some lines are a little darker. The lines that are darker, we have more paint pigment in the mixture. So again, use your favorite colors. You can go bolder, you can go this or that. I'm gonna go for blue next, then I'll do purple after. Find a blue that you like. Again, go at your own speed here. There's no rush. Have a nice blue happening here. I'm gonna try to go heavier on the paint pigment so it gets a little darker. Especially, and I'm bringing water onto my well to make it nice and watery here. So when I go up to the top in this area, I just give it a couple, 1, 2 big brushfuls of water. Feed it water for it to drip. And I feed it water from my tray. I don't feed it water from the water cup. The water cup will dilute it and I want it to be darker. So I feed it water. I feed the drop water from the top for it to go straight down. And you may have some gaps. It's okay. I'm going to let some areas dry if there's gaps. Maybe colors went down another track. It's okay. We're all being playful here. But I'm feeding it colored pigment from the top and going down. If you want to do any funky splattering, we'll do more of that. I'll do some another technique of splattering after with the painting down flat. That'll be kind of fun. But use any of your favorite colors. I'm doing the full range of the rainbow here. It's so wonderful to see everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I hope that you're all doing well. Thank you for joining. Watercolor classes are so fun, especially just to be playful and not really have to have like a solid plan. Today's is incredibly specific around boundaries. It's a little bit of an experimental watercolor, which is really kind of fun. Things can look uneven, that's okay. Just doing lots of layering of colors. And we're just going to continue to layer drips of all colors until you're happy with it.
Mom,
Yes.
I'm going out for a quick drive. Could you take the pizza out when it's ready?
All right. So I'm going to layer in lots of colors here. There we go. And I'm adding these blue dollops. I love that this blue is coming down. I have drops running right over my painter's tape. That's where my girl's gonna be. I think Susan said she was gonna do a frog under umbrella. Any silhouette that you wanna do under the umbrella is totally fine. I'm gonna mix a little bit more blue paint. Maybe I'll do a little bit of blue and purple. Use all your favorites, but take a few minutes. Again, I don't know how long this is gonna take, so we're just gonna enjoy the ride here. I'm doing lots of fun drips. I have a big white space over here on, oh, there we go. I'm filling the white space with a drip. I had to move and create room for it. There we go. And that drip is going to find its way down. There we go. So you can figure out where your gaps are and where you may need to add more color to fill in gaps. And again, this is just fun layering of drips. And if you don't want it to be so even, you can, I'll do a little bit of a weird drip for you. I'll do a blue drip, but I'll do a little bit of a leaner just to show you what it's like to do something a little different. Now it's gonna look different and uneven, but I'll show you anyways. So I can kind of tilt my canvas over a little bit. I need a little bit more water to feed this drip. And you can kind of create some that like merge into one another. If you want to play with any kind of fun dripping, you can you can hold your canvas flat and you can just do some like drops, like you can kind of tap your brush and just do some drops like this. And I'll flip this. I'm just kind of tapping my brush. This is with a little bit of blue. I'm going to let it dry, but you can see it got some really fun little drops on it. You can try doing some texture like that. I got some fun little drops. Again, I just put a little bit of blue and I'm just doing a couple of little taps with my brush to give it just a little bit of a raindrop texture to go with the raindrop drip, right? Totally up to you. I'm having fun. There's some blue. It looks so cool. Love that. It's pretty light in color, so that's a fun little layering detail there. So with this class, use your favorite colors. I'm going to try purple next. Do as many or as few as you want. I'm going to go a lot of drips, like a little drip crazy, because I want to see what happens when there's a lot of layered drips. So that's kind of what I'm going to play with tonight. But look at this purple. Ooh, so purple. There's so many purple lovers in this call. So many purple lovers. All right, this purple is going to be really bold and sassy. Let's see what happens. Now with a new color, I'm going to try to find a dry area to start first so it doesn't take over another area. So there's a good dry area right here. I want my purple to go on straight. I don't really want it to go on the blue lane if I can avoid it here. Oh, it went into the red lane. That's okay. It's slowly dripping its way down. Ooh, that's cool. It kind of turned into a purplish red color. It's kind of neat. So you just see what happens to see where these drips go, right? Purple's really fun. Nice. And I can still see those blue dots, so there's no change there, even with adding the purple in. And I'm just feeding the drip from the top, making sure I have a strong pigment. If you need your drip to go further down, feed more water and it will go down that path and pick up more space. So let's see here. I'm going to mix a little bit more purple. Let's go over here. I'm going to feed it from the top. Let's see what I get here for a shape. I went right down by the yellow. Imagine that. If you have a gap, you can come down a little lower and start a new lane if you need to. I might turn this a little bit. And you can kind of force it in a different direction if you want. So if you want to create any movement, you can kind of tip it to the left and tip it to the right. If you want to do a little bit of tapping and a little bit of tilting, you can play with that. Mine's pretty straight, but I have a lot of white still, so I'm just going to keep layering. This is the fun part, right? I love that I have the color of the rainbow here. It's really fun. And with watercolor palettes, there's typically like a couple shades of purple, a couple shades of red. Like mix some of those colors around and see what happens. Play with that on your palette. Let's see, I'll do one right here. But my method of placement of color is a little bit on the left, a little bit on the right, trying to find a balance so it shows up in all the places. And I'm feeding it from the top so it goes straight down. So this one wants to turn. Don't turn. Go, go, go. And you can feed it and make it go by just adding a little bit more water to the top, and that should get it going. There we go. Again, if you like the purple and you want to do some purple drips, you can do a little bit of water and you can tip your canvas and just do some purple drips. Like it's raining. Oh, I love this. Oh, this is so pretty. Ooh, yeah. It's giving me some big drips. I'm just tapping it with my fingers. Look at that. So pretty. Love that. I can even give it a little tap. And if there's any big drips, it might drip down a little bit. So I'm using one brush. If you want to use more brushes, you can. For me, I want to give it a minute to dry as well, so that's no problem. If you want to be deliberate about putting a certain color somewhere, you can, like if you have, I have a big gap right here, I'm going to get another purple drop right in that area. And you can kind of create and do a soft, you can do a soft brush stroke and line to fill in areas to kind of get it going in certain places if you need to. Like for me, I just did this purple one right here. I put a little drop starting here and I kind of worked my way down and it moved right down for me, which was great. So I want you to lean back and look at your picture saying, okay, do I want to add any other colors in any other places? The answer is yes, right? It's just about what colors next. I'm going to add a little bit more red. This is kind of a cherry red. It's really pretty. So again, use your favorite colors. If you want to have nice bold colors, just add more paint pigment so it's nice and dark like this on your tray. But experiment with how much water you use as you get going. And find a dry area to create a new path. So I'm going to do a path here and feed it from the top for it to go vertically down. And you can kind of redirect it if you need to, redirect a drip if you need to, like I just did. No big deal. If you want to add in more of those yellows and oranges, you can do that at any time. I'm going to do more of that in a minute. So you can redirect if you wish. I love blues. I love this red though. It's pretty punchy. You can also add some thicker areas. So I think some of this drops techniques works well. So if you want to add any more thicker areas of color, I'm going to grab a lot of water with this pinky color. I'm going to flip this on the side again, and I'm going to do just some like bigger drops. So maybe I grab a bigger brush. Let me just grab a bigger brush and let's experiment with that just to see how that works. Let's see. This is kind of a 1/2 inch round tip brush. I'm going to get it really wet, and I'm going to get it really wet with like this reddish color and see if I get bigger drops. I need a lot of water and a lot of paint pigment for it to work with a bigger brush, but I'm going to try it anyways. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a flick of my wrist to really get some paint down. So I need more water and more paint. So I'm experimenting here, see just how it works with a bigger brush and with more water and more paint. And I'm just going to go a little crazy just because I can. Oh, wow. That was intense. Huge spritz. I'm doing it vertically just to show you what it's like vertically. If you want to lay it flat and do this, that's fine. Oh, I'm also in my studio, so I'm having a little bit more liberation. You could totally do this when it's lying down too. But that just gave me a lot of red color. I'm just going to bring it forward. Kind of neat. It went on pretty light, which is fine. But I like that it's filling in the space a little bit more. So that was a fun technique to try. I'm going to do the same thing with a little bit of blue. I'll lay it flat this time to see how it goes, and I can give you a flat line technique just in case folks aren't going to get too messy. But I'm using like a 1/2 inch round tip brush. It just gives me a little bit more water to throw around. So I'm doing like vertical, I'm laying it flat and I'm flicking my wrist down towards the canvas. And I have nothing to lose here, so I'm having fun with it. And I'm giving it a little pat down. I'm tapping it down. And I got some really fun designs with the blue. Now you can figure out how crazy you want to go, or if you just want to do lots of drips. I'm probably not going to do too much more splatter, but I liked that it is a secondary texture for this. And that's why I did it, is to give the painting secondary texture, which is really fun. But I'm going to put my big crazy brush down, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to add maybe a little bit more oranges and yellows. So you do your own colors. I'm experimenting, talking through different tips and techniques to try. You do you. I love the boldness of an orange. You may need things to dry a little bit if they're blending from one area to another. It's okay to just pause if you need to. I'm mixing a little bit of orange. I have some dry areas like over here, so I'm going to try to do a little bit of more orange dripping. But for my aesthetic and look is I want to do lots of drips. I'm going to try to fill in as much of this white space as possible. I want this to look full with color. That's just my take for today. If you want to do long, thin brush strokes, like to fill in, like instead of dripping, you could use the end of your brush like this and just do a gentle brush stroke vertically. And just, you could fill it in manually too, to supplement what you already have, which is kind of neat. You can start at the bottom, you can go up. I like the idea of using your brush freehanding, and I'm doing orange because you can have a little more control. Really soft brush strokes. You could fill in some of these white gaps and be in more control over what you're adding where. I'm doing a little orange because it's a little softer. It can be a little punchy too. I'll bring it a little closer so you can see some of the detail, but it's really cool looking. Really neat. And again, you can figure out where you want any more heavy spots. Maybe it's a little heavier at the top. So I could do like a cloud or something. It's a little lighter on the bottom and a little heavier with color on the top. So if you want to be playful and like kind of make some areas a little more heavy at the top, by using your brush, you can kind of do some vertical, like shorter border vertical brush strokes. Like I'm using blue. I'm just do some blue at the top and maybe just some vertical brush strokes coming down. If it's too watery looking, you can add a little more paint pigment to make it darker. So it's totally up to you. You can do like little short range, like raindrops and streaks. You want to do any supplemental, like little ones, that's okay. But for me, I'm just trying to fill it in a little bit more at the top. So I'm just doing some soft vertical brush strokes to fill in. This is just an idea that I'm doing, I'm incorporating. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can give it as much or as little structure as you wish. You can pause and you can reflect. I think it's coming out pretty cool. I'm gonna just lean back and reflect. What additional colors do I want to add? My colors are all like moderately, they're not too dark and they're not too light. So I could get a little bold and do some like dark purples to really add some more contrast. That could be a fun thing to try for me. So think about, are your colors really light? If they're too light, maybe you add a little more pigment. A little bit more pigment, a little bit more drops. So I'm going to try some dark purple. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to experiment right in front of everybody. I'm not afraid. But I'm mixing like some really rich, deep purple. See how rich that is? Like it's really dark in color. And I'm going to try to add some dark purple. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just going to go for it. What's going to happen? I'm just going to add a few drops, feed it from the top. Oh, this purple is so cool. I'm so glad I did this. So I'm adding just a few bits of dark purple, and I love the way that it's layering into the other colors. This might be, this is one of the cool things about watercolors is it kind of starts to blend with others. I'm gonna do this all the way across the top because I love the way it looks, and I'm gonna bring it closer. It's mixing like purples and reds together. It's mixing like it has a nice coat of blue. I'm gonna give it a little tap so it dances its way down. Anything that's wet, it also will shimmy it down the page for you by giving it a little tap, which is kind of neat. But I love this dark purple. I'm gonna continue this across the entire top. The colors that I'm using are, it's like a plum and like a grape color, and I'm mixing the two. If you want to get even fun and fancier, you could make like a fuchsia by adding a little bit of red into your purple. So pretty. So I have some nice purple going here. I'm going to continue this on the top. So I'm using just this pigmented purple and I'm adding more water. This one took a little turn at the top, which was kind of cool. It has like a little Y. That was a happy little accident right there. Love that. But you kind of let it see what it wants to take for its path down to the bottom. And I'm doing every half inch or so, I'm adding a little of this purple because I really like the way it's layering on the top for me visually. So find, you know, an idea and see what happens. Try incorporating it. But this is super unique. And I talk about this in these classes, but art's all about experimenting. And you find styles and colors and blends, but just by experimenting. So I love holding space in these classes to experiment because it allows you to figure out more of what you like to do. You may be like, Megan, this is not for me. Or you may say, this is so cool. I can't wait to try this again with another idea, right? So I love the way that this purple is blending on top of everything. I'm really happy with it. I'm just mixing a little bit more so it's nice and concentrated with that paint pigment as I just continue working my way across the top. And again, I'm just feeding that drop from the top. So it will trail down the way it wants to. Ooh, that one went like right next to the other one. It didn't blend in it. That was kind of cool. Kind of an experiment to see what happens. Doing drips on drips is really fun. And I'll give this a little tap in a minute because I have some drips that are just hanging out. But if anyone has questions about what colors to use, like what a complementary color is of one or another, you can, again, give it a couple taps down. It might skip a drip or two. So fun. I love that. I might add just a little bit of like more blue drips, like from, I might tip it on its side and add some more thicker blue drips, and then I might be done my design. But you do as much or as little as you want. I'm gonna mix a nice blue color on my palette, and I'm gonna do some heavy blue drips just to add some fun contrast. I love blue, so I'm gonna try that. But I'm gonna do darker, I'm gonna try to do a darker blue, which looks really cool. These are a bunch of little drips. Let's see if I can do any bigger ones. I'm gonna give mine like a minute. Oh my God, I have splatter paint everywhere. Good thing I have a space for this here. I'm going to give it a minute just to dry. I'll keep an eye on the clock. I'll give everybody just 5 more minutes just to be playful, and then we'll start the drawing piece in 5 minutes. If you have a pencil to do sketching, you're welcome to grab a pencil. If you want to use a pen, a micron pen, a Sharpie. If you don't want to paint in your black figure, your silhouette, you don't have to. If you want to do a green frog with a blue umbrella like Susan, use like a colorful thing underneath. I'm going to do the black. I might, I haven't decided yet actually. You could do colored pencils to sketch. But either way, I'm going to do a pencil to sketch my figure first, and then I'm going to fill it in somehow. I haven't decided yet. You can use paint, you can use ink, you can use anything you want. Okay. So I'm going to look around, see what I have to use for the figure fill in, and I'll let you all finish up your backgrounds. And if you need more time, feel free to take it. But I'm going to let my painting dry, and I will be right back. Let's see here. Is a black colored pencil. I actually have I have watercolor pencils right here, which is kind of neat. I could probably use some watercolor pencils. Let's see if I have a black. Of course I don't have a black. I have a green. Let me see, what color is this? Oh, I do have a black. How about that? I'm gonna go get a pencil sharpener to sharpen my pencil. I'm gonna use watercolor pencils to fill it in just to see. And if I don't like it, I can always go over it. But I'm gonna go sharpen this and I'll be right back. Just grabbing a pencil sharpener to sharpen this pencil. So the objective now is to just let your background dry as much as possible. When you're ready to pull off the tape, feel free to do that. I'm just getting my black colored pencil ready. I will use a traditional pencil for sketching so I can erase it. Again, if you want to paint after, you can, but I encourage you just to always sketch with a pencil first. It just saves you a little bit of a headache and hassle when you are painting. Right, just take a couple minutes to all right, I'm just gonna I'm just fixing my pencil here. All right. And we're gonna do some sketching. So I'm gonna pull off my tape in just a minute. I'm just giving it a minute to dry. I'm gonna use a colored pencil to fill in, but I have a pencil in my hand right here. My colored pencil is not cooperating in my pencil sharpener. That's all right. All right, so I'm gonna peel off the tape here in a minute. Yeah, that colored pencil is not working. That's all right. So I'm gonna take a minute and peel off my tape. And I'm gonna sketch where I want my umbrella to be. Oh, this is so fun. I had a little bit bleed under. Oh no. That's okay. I'll make sure my umbrella comes down that far. So if it appears to be wet, be really careful taking off your tape. Some of mine bled through in some spots. So just give me 1 minute. I'm just gonna clean up where I can. I have a paper towel to do any. All right, give me 1 minute. I'm just gonna grab a paper towel to wipe up some of this. Just grabbing a paper towel to blot some of my color up. And I got a little bit that bled through, which if that happens, that's no problem. You can always grab a little bit of white paint if you want to cover it up really quick. I'm not going to tell anybody. Not a big deal. If you want to grab even acrylic, or if you have any white watercolor paint, you could always put some on top of that to cover it. So either way is fine. If you want to do any touch-ups, like just take a minute to do a touch-up. It's not a big deal. Sometimes we have acrylic paint in the house, you know, that's fine. If you wanted to do touch-up and you want it to look right. With art, artists do lots of things to manipulate, you know, what the way something looks. So if you need to do any touch-up work, just do that. It's no big deal. But we take our time in these classes, and I love it when things like unexpected happens, because it happens to all artists in almost every piece of artwork, is that it's okay to, you know, expect, you know, things to be different or change. Like that's okay. And I have it, it's a little streaky and it's okay. It's still gonna look great. You know, we're still gonna put our umbrella in. The umbrella is gonna be layered on top of that line right there. I'll use a Sharpie so you can see my sketching. That also might be helpful for you. But I'm gonna give a minute for this to dry. And I'm gonna go grab a Sharpie with a point on it so you can see my sketching more clearly. Now, I don't encourage you to use your Sharpie unless you are very confident with your drawing abilities. But I will sketch and I'll show you what it's like on where you put the umbrella at least. So the umbrella is gonna come above, so this line I have, the umbrella is gonna come up on top of this. So it looks like it's actually catching the rain. So the umbrella kind of just comes down on top. See how it's kind of up there? And I can play with this shape a little bit. I'm just doing a little bit of freehand sketching just to show you. I can play with the top of the umbrella, no big deal. And this is still a little wet, so I'm gonna wait a minute. But you can sketch your umbrella, you can gently sketch your person. I'm just gonna give mine a minute to dry, so take your time. And I'll join you as soon as mine dries. But you're gonna sketch with a pencil first. That's gonna be your next step. You're going to sketch your person. If you're doing 2 people, you're going to sketch that silhouette. If you don't want to do a silhouette, if you want to do like people with actual colors on them, like a purple dress or a yellow umbrella, that's fine. I'm going to do the silhouette form today just to keep it simple. And if you're not ready to take off your tape and you want to do more work, just know that you don't have to start the sketching process yet. I want you to start the sketching process when you're ready, so there's no rush there. Okay, so when you are taking a few minutes and you are completing the drawing component, I want you to take as much time as you need to complete that. For me, I did cover up some of the watercolor that ran through. That's okay. It's okay to slow down and to take a little bit extra time to refine those details. I want you to, once this area is ready and your silhouette is drawn, I want you to then figure out how you want to paint it in. You can see I have sketched my girl here. Her hand is reaching out under the rain, which is really fun. I'm going to use black watercolor. This is black watercolor here, so I'm going to use black watercolor again to fill her in. So I have a cup of water. I'm going to come over here and mix some black. Now you can use a small brush of choice. For me, I want this paint pigment to be pretty thick in color. So I can start lighter if I want to and then go over it, or you could just make it a darker pigment. But I'm gonna add water and I'm gonna stay within the line. So that's the most important thing. She's gonna be kind of a black full silhouette. The umbrella can kind of go right in. I'm gonna go right over all of this and I'm gonna stay right within the lines. I'm gonna fill her in. Now, again, it's up to you. Some of you might be painting another object, another character. You just do you in this regard. If you need to use, if you did put down acrylic and the watercolor isn't sticking on top, you can switch to black paint, that's fine. Some of you may not have made any adjustments to the background like I did. Totally up to you on what you want to do there. I'm just going to go nice and slow, follow my lines. Take a couple deep breaths and take your time in this step. It's really tricky to get the drawing right. I acknowledge that. But sometimes it's to do hard things. It's worth the learning experience, right? Play with the tips of her fingers. You can do a second coat if you want to just do one layer and come back to it. That's absolutely fine. But do nice smooth brush strokes for her arms. I like that it's kind of a drippy look. It really matches the overall look and feel of the painting itself. And I can come in and do any touch-up work with this color. So for me, I know what I'm doing. It's not the end-all be-all. Do the umbrella pull coming down that she's holding on to. Nice and straight, if possible. So you can see that she's slowly coming to life here. I'm just mixing a little more paint as I go. Again, use whatever mediums you have to make it work for your art. But my goal is to fill her in entirely. You can make her as dark or as light as in color as you wish. Everyone will take a different approach for this part of class, so just know that's okay. Absolutely okay. I'm here to guide you, to encourage you to follow whatever creative process works for you for this type of inspiration. It's really fun. It's really empowering to kind of get to know yourself, figure out what you want to do and why you want to do it. But just know that you don't have to have a full plan. You don't have to feel like you have to be an expert to try new things like this. So I just want to applaud you for being here today, giving it a shot. It can be scary to do drawings like this. I get it. It can be scary to try new techniques. But you're here. and you are going for it. We don't do a lot of drawing or painting of humans because the human body and figures can be pretty tricky. So taking a few minutes again to try something new is really fun. It also can be frustrating, but that's okay because you got it. If you don't like your human, you can always paint over it and put in an animal. Someone else from this class did a frog under an umbrella. You can Google silhouettes, different silhouettes to put under an umbrella or to put under something. So I'm just here to have fun. I'm here to encourage you to have fun as well. Don't overanalyze your work. Believe it or not, the experience of painting and creating, it's not about what the end product is, it's about how you got there. Giving yourself an opportunity to relax, practice blending using new colors, etc. And then I'm working on my first coat here. I'm going to probably come in. I like that there's some texture with the color. It's not like a perfect solid. It's kind of neat that it happened that way. But if you wanted to come in and do a second coat in any regard, you're welcome to do that. With or without water on your brush, you can decide how you want to paint and fill this in. And you're gonna, if you have a person, you can look at the proportions. For me, her body needs to be like a little bit more forward over here. So I'm just gonna make her body lean forward just a little bit. I'm just gonna make it a little bit more wide. There we go. Her arm looked a little too long, so I made her body a little wider to make up for that. So you'll notice things that you want to do or change. Just rounding her neck a little bit. And if you ever wanted to come in and do any white like touch-ups, you can certainly do that at any time. That's fine. Absolutely fine. I may come in with a little bit of white paint and just reshape her forehead. That's fine. But I'm going to let this dry. And I'll look around to see if I want to do any more touch-up work before I'm done. I may make my umbrella a little darker, just a little bit in some places. So that these are, again, choices. With art, you can always decide how much or how little work you do. It's absolutely up to you. If you want to do any second coats, if you want to add any additional detail. And that's the same for watercolor and for using acrylics. So I always like talking about that because I want to normalize the fact that you have to be done at a certain point. It's up to you as the artist to make some of those choices. But I absolutely love the way that this came out. It's really adorable. I love the way that these colors layered in. And again, my technique for doing the background was doing lighter layers first. I did yellows and light oranges. And then I just started bringing in a little bit of reds and blues and greens. And I had to add more pigment to my drip colors so they would stand out a little bit more. And I just kept layering on. And then some of my final layers with these darker purple drips that turned into purpley red colors, which was really fun. And throughout the way, I did some of this dotted splatter background, which is earlier in this video. So you can do, again, as much or as little of the second texturing of the splatter. I like it. For me, it kind of pulls it all together. But I hope you love this video today. Again, my name is Megan. If you are new here, if you haven't been to our classes, I encourage you to subscribe to our channel to get notifications on what's coming next. Always free videos for you here on YouTube. And I want to encourage you to check out our Patreon space if you want to support my journey and support our creative art classes. I would appreciate any support there. I did put a link down in the description below. But thanks again for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks.